Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Coffee and Football presented by BKCW. And I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Be sure to tell us where you're checking in from, what you're drinking, get your questions in as well. We're going to have Coach Brian Irwin joining us here in just a moment. Happy Friday, by the way. But let's talk some news that came out yesterday that has to do with recruiting. Dre Quinn, Jerry, decommitting.
Yeah, look, we've been kind of reporting here that Texas was all in on Dre Quinn, and here's some senior tape of Dre Quinn at Buford this year, week 1 through 5, 26 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks on a loaded team. He doesn't play all 4 quarters many games here, but there you see him. He can line up anywhere, but he is an edge. But yeah, he decommitted from Clemson, and we'd said on TexasFootball.com in here that Texas was all in on Dre Quinn, and we were watching this one. He went to the Tennessee-Georgia game as a guest to Tennessee. But I think there's some confidence on the Texas side with this recruitment right now. And he's a guy that Texas never backed off of. The 3 top edges on the board for Texas in this cycle are Richard Wesley, Trent Henderson, and Dre Quinn. Obviously, Richard Wesley's committed. He's having a really good senior year over at Sierra Canyon, by the way. Trent Henderson, who's solid LSU. And Dre Quinn here, who committed to Clemson initially over Texas. He made OVs to Clemson, Texas, Georgia, and Georgia Tech. He had a number of other playoff contenders that would have brought him playoff teams from last year that would have brought him on official visit. But a guy that I think is better than the rankings suggest, similar from a ranking standpoint than Nick Brooks last year. Very similar spots is where they were at. And we have him as a 4-star plus, which means we think he's a top 150 level guy in the country, kind of where we had Nick Brooks as well. But Dre Quinn, there's some confidence in Austin, Bobby. But Luke Livermore wasn't Luke Wafel a priority. He was behind the other guys, but yes, he was a guy too. They had 4 or 5 guys, but the top 3 were Wesley, Trenton Henderson, and Dre Quinn. But Bobby, I think there's a lot of buzz with Texas here. We'll see which way it goes and how soon.
Yeah, we'll have some other recruiting news to add to this. Sark was out and about in Houston, different parts of Houston yesterday, including Abel Martinez was checking in from Willis, including Willis, Kingwood, Katy, Mady Creek. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But first, I need to tell folks about our sponsor, and then we'll get straight to Coach Brian Irwin. We are sponsored every Friday by BKCW Business Insurance. Did your business have a frustrating insurance or employee benefits renewal? Most likely you didn't hear from your agent all year, and then before it was time to renew, your agent delivered the bad news of a rate increase. When this happens, the agent is providing little to no value, and you're stuck in what we call the insurance trap. BKCW, operating out of its headquarters in Austin and owned by a UT grad, uses a 5-step process to identify your business's weak spots, design a plan, execute it, and monitor your situation throughout the year so that you can lower your insurance costs and effectively manage your company's risk, taking you out of that insurance trap. They already work with some of the most well-known construction companies, restaurant groups, breweries, nonprofits, school districts. They help them escape the insurance trap. It all starts with a free risk assessment. Go to bkcw.com or send an email to info@bkcw.com to get started with a free risk assessment or claims audit and escape the insurance trap. That's 512-250-5055 or info@bkcw.com.
I want to hit on one because people are kind of coming after this, after the edge talk. Cruel is a priority after Trenton Henderson and Dre Quinn and Luke Wafel committed elsewhere. They like Jay Krell, don't get me wrong, but he became more of a priority after guys committed elsewhere. Again, the top 3 guys were Wesley, Trenton Henderson, and Dre Quinn. And that doesn't mean Luke Wafel isn't really good. He is. I was just telling who the top 3 were.
All right, let's bring in Coach Brian Irwin this morning. Brian, how you doing?
Good morning, guys. How we doing?
Hey, Brian, I heard you were you at that football game last night that broke out in Arizona?
I was. I certainly was. We were out as guests of Kyler Murray, and Kyler and this we go way back with my family. And Kyler grew up with my boys, and Kyler was always over at the house. So I got a chance to go out and see him play last night and hang out with the family and see Kyler after the game. So it was a great game. Kyler loved him, made it interesting, and they lost a heartbreaker in the end.
You get ready to go play some golf today on a Friday, I bet, out in Phoenix area. Is that
Yeah.
true?
I am. Yeah, I am. It's a little early out here right now. I didn't realize they were 2 hours behind. I thought they were 1 hour on Mountain Time, but yeah, they're 2 hours behind. But yeah, we're gonna go play a little golf today, and it's boys' trip. My two sons, we met out here, and so we're looking forward to it.
Well,
good.
well, before we get to football, I got to ask, where are you playing? Because there's some great courses out there in Phoenix, Scottsdale.
We're gonna play Greyhawk this
There you
morning. That's where Phil Mickelson kind of grew up playing.
Great one.
And then I think we're gonna get a chance to play maybe Desert Mountain tomorrow or maybe Weekapaw. But yeah, there's some great courses. We're looking forward to it.
Hey, Brian, I got to ask you a question. There's been a lot to talk about since you and I last spoke on Monday with as it relates to John Mateer at quarterback for Oklahoma. He had surgery on his throwing hand, apparently I think it was to either remove or fuse a bone in his right thumb. We also have this situation going on at Florida with DJ Lagway, them losing yet again. They're 1-3 on the season. What do you make of the quarterback situations that Texas is going to face over the next 2 weeks? I mean, is there any kind of commonality or a way that a coach prepares his team to go into that?
I'm sure we can probably predict how Oklahoma is going to try to play this, and going to be, questionable the week of that game. So we're going to have to probably prepare two quarterbacks, depending on if he has a legitimate chance to come back. But I see them playing it that way, where we're probably going to have to prepare for Mateer as well as Hawkins. But overall, to answer your question, I think it's pretty fortunate. We're pretty fortunate. Unfortunate for them, Mateer's a great quarterback, but after watching him play the first couple of weeks of the season, and everybody's him and OU, I'm like, he can't keep this pace up. He'll never last in the SEC. He's going to get broken in half, and the first game he gets hurt. So you just can't win in the SEC running around with your quarterback as much as he was running around. And then Lagway, I don't know what's going on. He looks impressive last year to me. And this year looks like he's struggling a lot with confidence. And I know he didn't get many reps in the preseason. Maybe that's hurting. Not sure what the situation. I like Lagway. I like the way he plays. I think he's got a great skill set. He's a great leader. He seems to be just a great kid. But for the Texas Longhorns, I think it's a very fortunate situation. We might see either the backup quarterback or a starting quarterback not 100%. So you're not going to ever complain about that.
Hey, Coach, 4 games in now, the 3 easy games, but building games behind Texas. Headed in the off week, where do you think this team is at, 1? And 2, how much do you think Sark and PK have held back from your vantage point? Because the term's vanilla, but how much do you think they've held back in reality?
I think, to answer your second question first, I think they've held back quite a bit, especially on defense. I think Sark's held back on offense was pre-snap motion things. But defensively, we've been very, very vanilla. And then Sark hasn't been motioning and shifting and doing things as much in the last couple as he normally would like to do. He's held back a little bit, but it's hard to hold back on offense, in my opinion. If you're an inside zone team, you run the inside zone. If you're a counter trade team, GT team, you run. You got to run plays because you've only got so many, and you got to figure out what kind of team you are in the running game. In the passing game, we've got RPOs, we got quick game. Maybe some of them we're able middle of the field he's held back on, because I haven't seen much of that. So yeah, there's been a little bit of that. And then to answer your first question, which is to me the most interesting question for me as a coach or former coach, especially in an off. This was always kind of a fun week for me, and as a coach, and trying to get your team ready for the next long haul. You've got to figure out what kind of team are we? What are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? How can I marry? This is the most important. How can I marry my offense to my defense, and marry my defense to my offense? And in this case, right now, our games, I think we want to marry our offense to our defense, and figure out how we can win games in the SEC. They may not always be pretty, but in my opinion, we've got to hang our hat on our defense. We've got to, get the offense going, certainly, but we've got to be patient. We've got to rely on our kicking game. We've got a fantastic kicking game. Our return game, and just marry that offense to the defense, and punt when you need to punt, kick field goals when you need to kick field goals. And then probably lastly, the thing that I've thought about a lot lately, a component of fast-paced offensive football. I never was that way, except small tweaks in tempo here and there, and get in, get out of it. But I see this team as possibly a team that could be a more fast-paced offense. I think it might help Arch. And the reason I say that is not because of the offense and Arch so much as the defense that we have. We have a tremendous and talented and deep, and that may be the most important, defense. We can play a lot of guys. We're very, very good on defense. I'm befuddled sometimes to watch into football teams that go NASCAR fast-paced, indie tempo, and their defense stinks. You put the defensive kids in a horrible situation when your defense stinks, when you don't have defensive depth. But this team has defensive talent. This team has defensive depth to go the long haul in a fast-paced type of game where we're lost snaps to no lost snaps as well. So that's what I would consider.
Gotcha, Coach. We're gonna let you go. Let you get over to Greyhawk and start swinging at some balls. I hope you have fun, man. And we'll talk to you again on Monday with lunch with the coach.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend. Welcome.
You too. Welcome, Brian. Take care of yourself. Brian Irwin, Coach Brian Irwin, 2 state championships in his career at Lamarck as the head coach there. Congratulations to him, having fun out there with his sons on a family trip. That's interesting. I didn't know he knew Kyler Murray and his family that well, but I think that makes sense, having grown up he was head coach also. Coach was also the head coach at Marcus High School in Flower Mound area at a time when Kyler Murray was becoming Kyler Murray at Allen High School. So.
Yes, exactly. He goes way back with Kevin Murray and the Murrays. Obviously, and that's really cool, man, that he got to go out there with his kids on that trip. I've known Kevin for a long time, and Kevin is quite the competitor, as you can imagine, with a son. Not like Tyler. He's a fun dude to be around. He is no BS. I'll say that. So him and Coach Irwin get along famously. No BS people.
All right, let's jump back to recruiting for a little bit.
Yeah.
You talked about Drake Quinn, but obviously there's a lot going on. Bobby, you kind of alluded to it with Sark being all over the place. What do you got for us, Jerry?
Yeah, this is the Texas staff, we'd said they'll be on the road some this weekend. And this is not, I want to put this correctly. This is like, it's not just, it's for show that you're out there, showing face, right? It's nothing major is going to come of this, but it's an important piece in recruiting that you go out and you see your guys that are committed. You go see it around that, some top 2027s in the Houston area. The big news is Sark and Johnny Nansen are be at Tyler Atkinson's game. So We talked about Dre Quinn earlier. They're going to be at Atkinson's game tonight. We talked about Dre Quinn earlier. Well, he's in Buford, right? And not far, 30 minutes from Grayson as well. So that's kind of the big news is that Sark was in the Houston area yesterday. We'll tell you about his stops there. It's just where he went. But he's going out to Atlanta today and tonight. So Dre Quinn decommits last night. We got Tyler Atkinson's game tonight. I think that's pretty major news that Sark is headed east today and a little bit this weekend. Where he was at yesterday was Houston area. He stopped by, like 20, 30 minutes. It's a couple of practices, right? He went to see Jermaine Bishop at Willis, took a helicopter down to Kingwood to see Kennedy Brown, the 2027 offensive lineman, ended up at Kosi Okpala's game for a bit last night, made Creek play Katie Paytow. So Sark made his way around Houston a little bit and is en route to the Atlanta area today, which I think is very interesting considering Dre Quinn decommitted yesterday, guys.
Yeah, the timing is I don't know if it passes the sniff test, Jerry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of my antenna go up a little bit with that one. You mentioned all of that stuff that he's been out and about. This is what we expected early in the week. I want to give a hat tip to Jerry because nobody had been talking about Dre Quinn until Jerry brought him up. I think it was late last week, early this week, Jerry, when we were hearing that Texas may be involved with him again. You were ahead of the curve on that and had some comments on it. And I see some people in the chat saying, well, this guy says he might be going to Texas. Well, you should have read On Texas Football on Monday because Jerry put out a update, and we mentioned it here on Coffee and Football that Jerry just doesn't whistle Dixie. I mean, he's not just talking to himself to be talking to himself.
Stuff lives on video forever.
Yes.
MJ asked, this is a good question coming off that discussion. How does Sark travel these days on a recruiting trip? Private jet, black VIP Suburban, other than assistant coaches? Who makes up his travel posse? So there'll be multiple assistants like on the road. Yesterday, it was Sark. Chris Gilbert was Sark yesterday, but Kyle Flood meets you at the OL stops, right? And then a position coach may beat you somewhere where you're going, but that doesn't mean they're going to travel with you all the time because Kyle Flood may have different stops to make. He's not going to see Jermaine Bishop, right? So they all kind of meet up in different places. But Sark was traveling with Chris Gilbert yesterday, and I put in the tweet that Sark and Johnny Nansen are going out to Atlanta. I believe Chris Gilbert will probably be with them on that trip as well. So there's normally 2 or 3 assistants, but just like the Tyler Atkinson, and it wouldn't shock me if Kenny Baker wasn't in Atlanta today as well in that area or another Texas assistant. But so when you travel to like the Tyler Atkinson game, it's normally going to be Sark and either the area recruiter, the position coach. And yes, they do fly by private jet. They're definitely not on Southwest.
Well, some coaches maybe, but the assistants, but not the head coach.
Not the head coach.
Private jet is primary, and then he's in a black SUV to get places at times. If he's going place to place, sometimes he's in helicopter. Yesterday was what he did around Houston. Because can you imagine in Houston traffic trying to get to 4 places in an hour and a half?
Just try to get to a Chick-fil-A and back to your house these days.
Yeah, exactly. But my point being, he uses a bunch of different ways of getting to places, but he usually takes his first big flight. If he's going to Georgia, for example, this week is what Jerry's talking about. He's going to take that in a jet. And then from there, he might get a helicopter to different places because Atlanta traffic isn't any better, basically, nor Dallas or, all of it. So anyways, we'll see how it all works out. But news there, Tyler Atkinson, obviously one of the top recruits in the country, the linebacker that's committed to Texas. Jerry reporting that he'll be at that high school today to see Tyler Atkinson. I want to say this. If they are able to flip Dre Quinn, Jerry, if they're able to flip him, that'll be the second consecutive year where Texas has gone into Georgia, not just Florida. Now, we talked about South Florida, but last year, who they got from the Atlanta area, or in surrounding areas, whether it's Justice Terry, Amari Winston, Zealous Hicks. I mean, that'll be 2 consecutive years where they've gone to both Florida and Georgia. And so, we talked about Tyler Atkinson. They also got the kicker, Jake Collette, out of Georgia. I just feel like he's doubling down on this idea that Texas is going to recruit the Deep South, in the Southeast, and not blink an eye. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah. MJ, by the way, I'm going to respond to that because I think there's a lot to that we can discuss. MJF, sorry, I misunderstood what you were talking about. No secretaries, in-house recruiting people. Nobody like that travels on those trips. It's normally Sark and a couple of assistant coaches is who does it. And there's limited how many people can be on the road.
Right. There's limit, but Chris Gilbert does go on the road.
Yeah.
And he is an in-house assistant.
But so when he's essentially what Texas has going is you have to take somebody off the road to put him on the road. And PK has not been on the road very much at all. And Chris Gilbert's kind of taken that spot, and he's on the road helping recruit. So, but yeah, no, it's interesting. And this is one thing I will always stand by with Texas and now in the SEC. You want 80 to 85% of your signing class every year to be from Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, and California. If Texas signs 80 to 85% of their players from those states, they're going to have one of the top 5 or 6 most talented rosters year in, year out because of the level of players they're going after. Then you kind of sprinkle in your national recruiting around that. Could be a Braylon Hodge in Colorado. It could be, a Sadir Mitchell one year in New Jersey. It could be Samari Matthews in North Carolina this year. But I really believe that 80 to 85% every signing class needs to come from those states along I-10 up to Georgia and then California. If Texas does that year after year, and look, I think there's a lot of schools that are after the same thing. I mean, look, A&M's pretty much recruiting the same way in those states. If you recruit 80, 85% of your class from those states, if you're recruiting at a high level, you're going to have for sure a top 10 talented roster in the country and probably top 5 at the level Texas recruit. Now, I think that's a key. Somebody's asking where your sign came from.
Yeah,
Bobby.
and you've also had a lot of questions about your hat too, Bobby. So I'm going to let you address both of those.
Well, hey, that's great. They actually match, don't they, with the Longhorn silhouette? Jenny got me the sign, so I'm not sure where that came from.
Nice.
Usually, Jenny's my wife, for those unaware. She's usually in the chat, so she could have told y'all. But she's doing a walk with the local SPCA here. She goes out and sometimes walks the dogs in the morning, part of the Sunshine Crew. She's in the Sunshine Crew. So she's out there doing that this morning. And then as far as the hat is concerned, I got this last Friday at the co-op. Love the co-op. And I always go and look, and Rod Babers and I are very similar in this regard. It's very hard for me to go in the co-op and not pick up a hat. I've got all kinds of shirts, but it's really hard for me not to go in and pick up a hat. And this is one I picked up on Friday.
People are asking for Jenny to provide the link for the.
And I put in the chat that neon sign is actually available on Amazon. So
oh, good.
You can.
I have no clue, Jenny. I don't know where Jenny got it. She showed up with it and said, "Hey, look."
Hey, by the way, Chad, I'm very disappointed. Does nobody want to know where this witch came from? Golly, people. It's all about Texas all the time.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
Hey, before we move off of recruiting, I want to go ahead and jump over to the super chat. And Jerry, we talked about Cohen Brown on the high school show that's coming up here in just a little bit. But Taylor Johnson says, how is Cohen Brown playing this season?
Playing really well. They haven't updated his stat. I need to make sure they haven't updated the Duncanville game stat.
I think he had 36 yards against Duncanville, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So he had against Ennis, he had 8 receptions for 114 yards and a touchdown. Against Forney, quality Forney team, which they handled, 5 receptions, 141 yards, 2 touchdowns. So he's at 300 yards receiving. about 350, 375 all-purpose yards in 3 games. Waxahachie, we talked about this on our high school show coming out that I sat in with Blake and Coach Buck and Coach Shipley this week. But Waxahachie, they have a huge game tonight. And there's not very many times where a team has the opportunity to beat Duncanville and DeSoto in back-to-back weeks. And Waxahachie has DeSoto tonight at DeSoto. You think those kids won't be up for that DeSoto game after beating upsetting is the term because of rankings, beating Duncanville? Now they have a chance to go beat DeSoto, and if they do, they're going to win that district. If you can win the District of Doom, you have a hell of a team. So that's a big opportunity in front of that team. And Coach Buchanan, former Lido coach, said this might be Waxahachie's best team since 1992, the early 90s. It's lining up for them that way. They got a number of kids. Jaquan Snell, the junior safety that Texas has offered all over, and he had some big hits against Duncanville. Sophomore quarterback that'll be a D1 guy, a number of D1 guys around it. But big opportunity for Cohen Brown on that team tonight. But he's having a really strong season, on pace for his back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving seasons in that district is saying something.
Some people are saying that he's being recruited as a safety right now. That's untrue. I'll just leave it at that.
No.
There's no talk of that.
And another prospect we get asked about a lot before we move on. El Conquistador says, any word if Malachi might visit us again?
That'll be interesting to see. What I think is interesting about it is the high school regular season in Hawaii ends October 22nd, I believe is that. So then you have playoffs. So they end a lot earlier. They end 2 weeks earlier than most places do. A week earlier than Georgia, but 2 weeks earlier than Texas high school football. So I said that to say this. Texas would love to get him on campus in November around one of their home games later in November, right? They would love for that to happen if that season's over. Texas is still on Malachi, and I'm not saying he is going to visit. They're still on him as hard as they can be. He's committed to Michigan. Texas will stay in that one till – is the ink even dry anymore? Whatever, till a letter of intent is sent in these days. But Texas is still on Malachi Lee. They did not go out to see him this week. Honolulu, long trip. I'm not saying they can't the second off week. They probably wouldn't because that's such a long trip, and it's given up multiple days to do that. But Texas is on him as much as they can be.
Well, before we move on to our next subject, Bobby, I'm going to let you start by telling everyone about Duck Camp.
I can do that. The Duck Camp is made for the folks that love to be out there doing things, whether that's in a duck blind at sunrise or on the 40 acres for a Saturday kickoff. Born right here in Austin, Duck Camp builds best-in-class hunting and fishing apparel that works just as well for a full day in the field as it does for a long day of tailgating. From sun protection shirts that keep you cool during those early season scorchers to their iconic game series hats that feel like instant classics, Duck Camp gear is ready for football season, hunting season, and every season in between. Get out there, stay out there, and hook 'em. Shop Duck Camp at duckcamp.com. I want to say this. They have a special going on right now. All you need to do is use promo code ONTexas25. That's all one word, and you get 25% off your order at duckcamp.com. I suggest everybody check out the website, see if there's anything you like. Again, 25% off when you use the code ONTexas25. You can't beat a deal like that.
And Jerry, it's time to tell us about Harry's.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. Harry's. Look, this little Halloween-looking razor. This dude's a bad guy. It feels like a golf grip in your hand. That's when you got a good razor, man. It is. I mean, look, it is Ryder Cup time, by the way. Let me tell you about Harry's. Jerry will tell you about Harry's. I'll say that. That's just funny to say, not because of my name. Let's be honest. Most razors suck. They're either way overpriced or dull after a few shaves and leave your face feeling like it's been attacked by sandpaper. Ouch, that hurts badly. Don't get me started on overpriced refills. $20 for a 4-pack should be illegal. That's where Harry's comes in. Harry's is the best of both worlds, a barber quality shave with German engineered blades and a sleek ergonomic handle at literally half the price of other premium razors. Their precision manufacturing process measures each blade in microns. We're talking aerospace level accuracy for sharpness and consistency, reducing irritation and razor burn, especially around the neck. Nobody likes that. Ow. Each cartridge has blades carefully spaced and close enough for a clean pass, but not so tight they clog like most multi-blade razors. And here's the kicker. Harry's isn't just one of the best engineered razors on the planet. It's also affordable. By owning their own factory and cutting out the middleman, Harry's delivers top-notch blades for as low as half the price of the big brands. It's time to stop overpaying for a mediocre shave. That's not what you get with Harry's. You get a great shave. For a limited time, our listeners can get Harry's trial set for only $8 plus a free gift at harrys.com/ontexas. Just head over to harrys.com/ontexas to receive our exclusive discount. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard them. You tell them on Texas football. And again, look, this is the best thing I can say about Harry's razors, guys. You know it's a good razor product that gets sent to you in the mail when the lady in your life picks it up and said, "That's a great razor," and tries to take it from you. That's when you know it's a great product in razors. True. Hey, look right here. Trust me, Harry's works. There you go.
There you go.
I have Frida Kahlo. What was that? What was the rest of that? Do you have that again? I have Frida Kahlo testosterone grade. Oh my God. Tejana 512. We saw her out at the hole in the wall the other day, Jerry. She came out to talk with us.
That was great to meet everybody there.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, traffic talk in the chat's good. You know what traffic I came across that's a hidden really bad spot because it's population boom is Tampa, Florida. It is. There's too many bridges, hard to drive. For Atlanta's really bad, Houston's really bad. Tampa's gotten to be a sleeper of bad traffic going over there seeing recruits.
Well, let's talk Oklahoma because we got a couple of super chats regarding that. Aaron Neal says, Jerry, your thoughts on OU's false flag opportunity to turn John Mateer into a folklore hero for Heisman? And also Corey J with the super chat. Any truth to Mateer being cleared in 15 to 21 days? And thank you both for the super chat.
My thing with Mateer is, are they going to push getting him back for one game? Yes, it is a big game. When you look at the rest of the schedule after that, that's the key. That's the question I have. Is it really worth it to push and risk it to try to get him back for Texas, if that's even possible? But by the way, I'm not sure. I'm not buying all that. But Bobby, after that, they have at South Carolina and 5 ranked opponents. So they run a really big risk if they try to force him back into action too soon. I don't think it's worth it.
You going to run a quarterback 2 weeks after surgery with his right hand?
Because he only knows one way to play.
I know. He's not going to stop being who he is.
No, if he is, they're not very good.
I agree with Jerry. But I will say this. Brent Venables is coaching for his job. Now, every coach is always coaching for his job. I want to say that. But Brent Venables is really coaching for his job right now. And I think that they have to sit him, but if that kid, I will say this, I have a lot of respect for John Mateer. I mean, he is a hard-nosed football player. And I don't say that about a lot of guys, but when you can run the ball 10 to 15 times a game, drop back and throw it, you don't even, and by the way, he does not have a great offensive line. So this isn't, no offense to, Kyler Murray or Baker Mayfield or Jalen Hurts, those guys, Caleb Williams, they had elite offensive lines. he doesn't. I mean, he is I know he's got some good receivers right now, but he is as close to a one-man show as you're going to find. And so I have a lot of respect for what he's doing. I just don't know that you can put him in harm's way, to Jerry's point.
Yeah.
It doesn't make logical sense to play a guy that's going to run the ball 10 to 15 times. And by the way, Texas is going to try to light him up in pass protection. I mean, you got to be kidding me. He's going to have to deal with that too.
And by the way, he had surgery on the thumb of his throwing hand. How's he going to be able to grip? You just don't know how he's going to be able to grip a football. Like number one, how are you going to be able to grip the football at what strength at that time? He
better not run right and have the ball in his right arm going down, because Texas is going to try to punch that thing out, try to pull on it, and it doesn't make sense to me.
My thought process is, and I could easily be wrong, but because they beat Michigan and Auburn they now have 2 games to play with, and they're still a playoff team. I would not risk my season for one game, even as important as that rivalry game is, because the reality for Brent Venables is, he had 2 big wins right now in his pocket. And if he goes 9-3, they can't fire him. They are not firing him at 9-3. I don't think he's going to risk his season for one game, because he's also risking his tenure for one game.
I agree. It's the wrong one. Try to do something special. Pull out all the tricks against Texas. All the trick plays you got, and fake punts, and whatever.
And let's say this too. They're a better team than they were a year ago. They're better on defense. Look, even if Jaden Gibson's, I guess, back practicing now, they're healthier at wide receiver. Maybe they're push on the offensive line and even push at running back. But Michael Hawkins at least has experience now, and he gets the Kent State game to start. It's not like they're in as bad a shape as they were last year going into the Texas game. They're in better shape as a team than they were last year. Michael Hawkins has some experience now and is in year 2, and probably a system that better suits him, by the way. So I don't think they're forced into this. I still think they could play a very, very competitive game. Very. I don't think Mateer being out means Texas is going to go win this game by 30 points in 3 weeks. I don't think that at all.
I also think they have a better defense.
Yeah.
Than last year.
Jaden Jackson's a sophomore. David Stone's a sophomore and showing signs of life. Yes, they lost the really good linebacker, but their linebackers this year, Kip Lewis is really good. The kid from Crandall's really good. Kendall Daniels that came in from Oklahoma State's a really good player. They have, and they can really rush the passer. They're strong. They're a strong team. And even without Mateer, I think Texas and Oklahoma is going to be a very competitive game. Very.
Okay, let's see here. We're going to do a super chat, one more super chat before we get to our next special guest this morning. And we have 2 from Jeff Carey. He says, I sent Blake the top 25 most viewed college games of all time and the regular season since 2000, and then adds measured viewership is meaningfully higher in 2024 to 25 than it was through much of the prior 15-year period. I turned one of those into a table. Only do the top 10 because I can't fit all of them on the screen here, but there's your top 10 most viewed games since, that was before 2000
all time.
For a while.
Wow. That's crazy when you think about it. Now, there weren't as many games on TV, right? But that's crazy that Alabama, Miami drew 30 million. I would not have guessed that, by the way. I would not have guessed that.
I watched it.
Yeah.
I watched that game. I would say Cinco de Mayo, who's one of our longtime posters, he sent us an email yesterday too, Blake. And one of the questions we had for everyone was, is college football viewership up year over year, and how much? And the answer is yes, it's significantly up, and it looks like it's between 20 and 50%, essentially.
That's wild.
How much college football as a sport is up. And I do believe it's because the better teams are better right now, and there's more parity in some ways. I mean, you see an Indiana coming on because they have a new quarterback. Florida State is not this big juggernaut of a ratings boom, but even they have a horrible quarterback play one year, fast forward to the next year, and they're back in it, you know? And I just think that Missouri is another example, right? Where Missouri is not a big TV team. I'm not trying to say they are, but in typical years, they would have this big drop off between losing a 3-year starter at quarterback and whoever they brought in next. Well, no, they went to the portal and they got a guy that's immediate starter for them. And so I think that's what's helping college football viewership. It's better play because most teams have good quarterbacks nowadays.
Yeah. Woo. Oh man, you didn't give me time, Blake. Take that back down. We're coming to that.
Oh, no. What does it say? I have twin 13-year-old girls that qualified for state in volleyball. State is in Norman the same week as a Red River rivalry. Pray for me. Hook 'em. P.S. I will be decked out in orange and white while at Norman.
That's awesome, though, on the first part.
Good. Hey, let's bring in our guest. Zach, thank you so much, and congrats to your girls.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I had a girl. My daughter played in the state volleyball tournament as well, where she's at. So that's a fun time, and volleyball is a fun sport, especially as a parent. Let's bring our guest, if you don't mind, now, because we're talking about the Red River rivalry. It's Doug Rice.
Hey, Doug, real quick. Doug, real quick. I do put the lampshade on for $100 super chat, so you get to see the lampshade. Because I don't have a football helmet like Rod, so I put the lampshade on.
Awesome.
Hey, Doug, we've spent the last 10 minutes talking about Texas OU, essentially. Right. And we're not trying to look ahead, but you, as one of the coordinators for Dallas, Texas X's, you are looking ahead, and we wanted to give you an opportunity to tell folks how they can get involved for Texas OU weekend up in Dallas here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I really appreciate you always letting me come on, Bobby. And it's always good when I get to see you and Jerry come out to the golf tournament for Texas OU every year. I guess you guys are coming, right?
Yep, we'll be there.
All right. One of these days, Blake's going to come out there and shake my hand.
I will. I'll make it one day.
All right, cool. Or maybe when there's a Texas OU baseball game.
There you go.
Anyway, yeah, I really appreciate it. Yeah, we got the Red River rivalry coming up, and the Dallas Texas X's. This is our Christmas. I mean, every year we start planning for this in the spring, and now it's coming upon us, and it's getting really close. So we want to promote everything. It's at DallasTexasX's.org, and our Instagram is at DallasTexasX's. So I hope everybody go visit there. I'm going to give you all the details, but if you'll go to one of those two places, especially, you'll be able to get all the information about what's going on in Dallas for the Red River. I like to call it the Red River Shootout. That was the original name. That's a better name anyway. But So we start off on that Friday morning, October 10th. And that's where Bobby and Jerry will be out there with us. Nice, bright and early. That is the Get Teed Off at OU Golf Classic. That is at Firewheel Golf Park, just outside of Dallas and Garland. This is the 37th annual. There's always, a couple of hundred golfers out there. I think close to actually 300 golfers that play every Texas OU weekend with us. And this year, we are super fired up because the one and only number 12, Colt McCoy, is going to be out there. He is our honorary chair this year, and he will be helping kick things off. So Colt, I believe, is getting there around 8 in the morning. I think the actual time that we're going to have our shotgun start is between 9:30 in that range. But Colt will be out there meeting and greeting and doing all that stuff. We might even tell him to go over there and get on Texas football for a minute or two. And see if he'll do that. But he is our special guest, and we are super pumped that we get Colt McCoy this year to come out to the Get Teed Off at OU Golf Classic. Again, that is on Friday morning. Get out there bright and early. And I think I'm going to be out there before 7. I'm not telling people they have to get out there that early, but if you want to meet Colt, and I think he'll be arriving around 8. And then later that evening, is the Bash Before the Clash. That's our big Texas OU party. It is in downtown Dallas, and that starts at 6:30 in the evening, and that's a lot of fun at the AT&T Discovery District. That is downtown. That's where that big gigantic media board. It's 104 feet tall, 8K media board. We have special custom graphics that say, hook 'em horns, OU sucks, and all that stuff that plays in a loop all evening, all into the night. So come on out for that. There's two different things that you can go to for that. There's our VIP party, and those tickets are selling fast, and those will probably sell out. So if you want to get one of those, I would suggest you get online very quickly, DallasTexasX's.org, and check those out. That's the VIP party. Then we have the Hook'em Hangout, and I'll probably be much more in the Hook'em Hangout. I like to be down there with fans down outside, and that is right in the middle of the AT&T Discovery District. Those are $10. And again, get those at DallasTexasX's.org. And then the one that's nearest and dearest to my heart is at the end of the Bash Before the Clash. We're still down there at AT&T Discovery District, and we have the Beat OU Pep Rally. Woo! Yes. So the Beat OU Pep Rally has been awesome. I started that thing. Let's see, this will be our 4th year. And that first year, I think we had like 150 people standing around a pool at some hotel. And then it went to about 700 the next year. And last year we had about 1,000+ people. So, hey, Horns fans, let's make this the biggest one ever. Maybe we can get it up to 1,500, 2,000 screaming fans down in downtown Dallas, singing "The Eyes of Texas," the fight song, doing all the cheers and chants. And we'll have some Dallas and some Texas UT luminaries up there. I've heard possibly that Tony Hills might be coming. I'm not.
Hey!
So, Tony, if you're listening, I think somebody was supposed to be reaching out to you, or you reached out to us or something. I don't know, but we'd love to have you up there on the stage. We're going to have some other, like I said, some UT luminaries up there. I'm inviting right now live on the air both Bobby and Jerry. If you guys want to come up there and fire up the crowd, say something on the mic, you are absolutely 100% welcome to do that. We'd love to have you do that, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And that starts at 9 p.m. And then the final event that we have for the weekend is actually on the state fairgrounds. Outside of Gate 5, it's called the Texas-sized tailgate party. We expect about 3,000 fans to come to that. We were right around that level last year. Live music, barbecue, the adult beverages will be flowing for that pregame tailgate party. It's going to be a lot of fun. And so we welcome all UT fans to come on out. And hey, I got to show you guys something before we end here. Look at this.
Oh, what?
The reason I have to tell you the story.
Are you going to burn it or something?
Yeah. We had to make some promotional videos, and they're on our Instagram, and we'll be putting them out throughout the next couple of weeks on our Dallas Texas X Instagram. And I played this loser Sooner character, and it's really funny. So I had to actually go buy that shirt, and I felt really weird in the OU section there at the store, actually shopping for an OU Sooners shirt, but I had to do it. I had to take them for the team, Bobby.
Yeah. Sometimes we have to do things we don't want to do.
Yes.
I just said that I like John Mateer in some ways because he's hard nosed. So, but you got to say what you got to say. Doug Rice, DallasTexasX's.org. That's great stuff. We'll see you out at the golf tournament, and then over there later that evening on Friday downtown at the Discovery Center, and then hopefully again on Saturday as well. Doug Rice. All the news you need and all the links you need to participate, however you want to, in the Friday or in the pregame festivities prior to the Texas OU game. Go to DallasTexasX's.org. Thanks, Doug. Be good,
Hook 'em, baby. Hook 'em.
Man, take care of yourself. Doug's a former cheerleader at the University of Texas. He fits the role. He gets them riled up. He's a self-starter too. He did. He started that pep rally. He gets fans pumped up now.
He does a great job. He really does.
All right, fellas. Let's see here. What do we have next? Actually, what I need to do is tell everyone this morning about Prize Picks, and we make decisions daily. But being on Prize Picks, it can get you paid. And with football now here, it's time for you to make that money. Prize Picks is simple to play. You're just going to pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you cash in. It's the best way to get in on sports action in more than 40 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and of course, right here in Texas. And this week, there's a special max discount promotion live on the board right now. Jalen Hurts has been discounted to only needing to go for one passing yard. That's right, one passing yard during the Eagles versus Bucks game this Sunday. I added that along with Oregon wide receiver Decorian Moore to have more than 42.5 receiving yards. Remember, they got college football. They have NFL, MLB, anything and everything that you could want. Come join me on those picks or make your own in less than 60 seconds. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code ONTexas to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, code ONTexas to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's Prize Picks. Run your game. Well, we have some more super chats. First, let me get this one from Bobby's Mayo Spreader saying y'all need a mayo and corn dog sponsor.
I agree.
Tell Fletcher's Corn Dogs to come talk to us.
Yeah.
As far as mayo is concerned, Jerry can handle that sales call.
We need all that.
Get somebody to get hold of him. All right,
I
Drew Lockhart.
John Musterson, by the way.
Drew Lockhart with Super Chat says week 5, several intriguing matchups. What couple of games are we looking forward to, especially in regards to Texas and our remaining schedule?
I love this because we can bring up the SEC schedule for the week. I know we did that yesterday. I think there's we can learn a lot this weekend about some teams on Texas schedule. And it's going to be interesting to see as we bring this up. Obviously, Notre Dame at Arkansas, right? They lost to Memphis, and that's kind of make or break Notre Dame's season right there for their playoff hopes. But Utah State playing at Vanderbilt, not really, unless you want to start judging common opponents. Vanderbilt hasn't been truly tested yet because South Carolina's offensive line is so bad. Virginia Tech fired their coach. The rest of the way after this week is going to be their test. But Auburn at A&M is because Auburn can QB run. They're going to try to run the football. They have an outside playmaker. A&M's run defense is going to be tested multiple ways this week against Auburn. I think that's going to be pretty good look at A&M and Oklahoma because they play Auburn back-to-back. So you're going to be able to a little bit compare and contrast how those two teams did on both sides of the ball versus Auburn. Auburn's front on their defensive line is really good. I mean, they're really good up front. Their back end, we'll see. They're really good up front. Alabama at Georgia, obviously you're going to find out a lot about Georgia because they did already win at Tennessee. But Alabama, much closer to the talent level of Georgia. And Alabama will be up for that game, Bobby, because they got embarrassed their last nationally televised road game. That's an easy team to coach for Kalen DeBoer this week. If you can't get up and play your best for Georgia, then things are gone wrong, essentially, in Tuscaloosa.
Hey, I'm really looking at a couple. First of all, this is a save your job game for Arkansas's coach, Sam Pittman. He's unlikely to save it anyways, but if they can somehow beat Notre Dame and salvage their season, there's a path, right? I think that Notre Dame is probably going to step on that path and not allow them to do anything about it. But that's a big one. I think Alabama, Georgia is big because, look, Georgia gave up a lot of points to Tennessee. You think they're going to give up another 30-plus to Alabama? I mean, how good is Georgia's offense? I'll get it. The one that I kind of soft circled here that I think is interesting to me is Mississippi State. Okay. We have discounted Mississippi State to our own detriment, maybe. Tennessee is coming off a heart-wrenching loss, by the way. They could have kicked the field goal to win it and missed the field goal against Georgia. Now they're going to Mississippi State. I mean, this could be a true trap game for Tennessee. We'll see if Mississippi State is for real. You know, Tennessee favored by 7.5. And the Longhorns obviously play Mississippi State later in October. So I'm anxious to see that. And then Texas plays Kentucky in October as well up in Lexington. They go on the road to South Carolina. Kentucky starting a new quarterback. But the Gamecocks favored by 7. If Kentucky somehow beats South Carolina, if Mississippi State somehow beats Tennessee, all of a sudden those games get a little more murky for the Longhorns.
Yeah, interesting on Mississippi State. Their two leading wide receivers. Well, their leading receiver yardage-wise is Brennan Thompson, none other than their number 2 receiver in yards, number 1 in receptions, Anthony Evans, the Georgia transfer from Converse Judson, a guy that Texas did recruit. So interesting, their two leading receivers there are both Texans and guys that one started his career at Texas, another one that Texas did offer in the process, which is somewhat interesting. Blake Shapen, obviously, former Baylor quarterback. The young running back from Mississippi State's really good player, I think. Fluff Bothwell. He's a 5'10", 230-pound bowling ball from Anita, Alabama. He was at South Alabama playing for Major Applewhite last year. Had a big season, 832 yards, 7.5 per tote. Hard to keep those guys. I mean, you wonder why Major's struggling at South Alabama this year. They had evaluated a good quarterback, evaluated a good running back, and what happens? The portal takes them away. So Fluff Bothwell, running back, future NFL guy from Mississippi State that they got from South Alabama. That guy can run it. He's a really good fit for what they like to do offensively too at the running back position. So, and then obviously it doesn't impact Texas, but the big game in the SEC, it may actually not even be. It's Alabama at Georgia because of the names, but LSU at Ole Miss is actually a really big game because one, Ole Miss, LSU's not going undefeated. Who is, right? They're not going undefeated. But this will be the first game I think they're going to be pushed offensively this season. They're probably going to need to score 27 because Ole Miss will find a way to score with Lane. But the other thing with Ole Miss is if you haven't looked at Ole Miss's schedule, they may have one of the most – them and Missouri have the best schedules in the SEC this year. And if Ole Miss gets this win, they are in a pretty good spot because they have Washington State after that, and they go to Georgia and Oklahoma back-to-back weeks. Then they have South Carolina, Citadel, Florida, all at home, and at Mississippi State. If Ole Miss beats LSU Saturday, they become a real playoff contender with what's after them on their schedule. They got a pretty favorable schedule, guys. If they beat LSU, they become a contender if they beat LSU this weekend to get in the playoffs. It's going to be interesting.
We have, I believe, another super chat this morning from Rhett. Thank you, Rhett. We appreciate it. He says, what are y'all's thoughts on Sark mixing in more tempo in the red zone right after an explosive play? I see Ole Miss do it, and I feel like they score every time. Am I crazy?
You're not. And the reason you do that is the reason you go tempo right after a big play in the red zone is you keep a opponent in the same personnel groupings.
Yeah.
So your defense doesn't have a chance to get into their red zone defense. Texas has not, in my history watching Sark, for whatever reason, and even it goes back to Tom Herman, it used to infuriate me. They'd have a big play and then run up to the line of scrimmage and run a play that gained 0 yards. You have to have a counter or some surprise element in those play calls. They can't just be generic play calls once you get up there. Oh, we're going to get up there, snap quickly, and run right up the middle. That's not what works because people are ready for that. I do think that Sark's going to try to do a little bit of that, but he's got to come with a little different flavor, in my opinion. It can't just be we're going to run right off a right guard's butt and try to power people in, and it just doesn't work that way. So, Rhett, I think there's a reason teams do it. I think there's a reason Texas hasn't been successful with it.
Okay, let's see here. Let's jump over to some more questions. And here's one from Dave Ashley. Jerry, Bobby, what Texas teams make the college football playoff Final Four?
Houston,
TCU, Texas Tech, Houston, Aggie, or the Longhorns?
Well, it's not Houston.
No.
TCU and Tech certainly have the opportunity. I don't know if they're going to make the Final Four. I think they're more Final 8 teams, just my opinion. I think the Aggies and Longhorns both have an opportunity, depending on how they finish this season. Look, I think TCU, Tech, A&M, and Texas all have a chance to make their way to that college football playoff. I'm not trying to discount Houston, but they're not in the same category as the others. They're just not.
TCU big game at Arizona State tonight for both those teams. Obviously, Arizona State can take a second loss and still get the Big 12 championship game. But with what's on their schedule, it's almost a must-win game for them. TCU at Arizona State tonight. Houston being thrown in there, I think, because they're 3-0, obviously, right? But and I think people are all throwing Houston in because they have Tech at home and TCU at home, and they're looking at the schedule. West Virginia at home.
Well, it's not like Houston's a big home field advantage.
No. And I just don't see them as a playoff team. I think they're being thrown about as a schedule because they're hot start. But it'll be interesting. Texas Tech schedule the rest of the way. They're at Houston, obviously. They're at Arizona State. They're at Kansas State. They're at West Virginia. They do get BYU at home. Oklahoma State, coachless. UCF as well at home, but a very favorable schedule, I think, for Texas Tech. It lines up really well for those guys. And the interesting thing will be with any of these Texas teams is what does Iowa State do in the Big 12? Because that's going to be the key is what does Iowa State do? If Iowa State can secure a spot in the Big 12 championship game, I think it's going to knock one of those hopeful teams from Texas out of getting in the playoff.
Yeah, I don't think Iowa State has the receivers this year to play with Tech or TCU.
Yeah.
And they can play with them. They won't win.
All right, Bobby, before we move on, I'm going to let you tell everyone this morning about BKCW one last time.
Thanks for doing that, Blake. BKCW has been one of our sponsors for a long time, and we appreciate them so much. If you're looking for business insurance, look no further than BKCW. They take you out of the insurance trap by providing you and your business with actual risk management consulting, not just price quoting. Operating out of their headquarters in Austin and owned by a UT grad, BKCW uses a 5-step process to identify your business's weak spots, design a plan, execute it, and monitor your situation throughout the year so that you can lower your business insurance costs while effectively managing your company's risk. They've already helped some of the most well-known construction companies, breweries, restaurant groups, nonprofits like school districts in Central Texas escape the insurance trap, and it all starts with a free risk assessment. Go to bkcw.com or send an email to info@bkcw.com to get started with a free risk assessment or claims audit and escape the insurance trap.
Thank you, Bobby. All right, let's get to some more questions here this morning. And let's see. I know we got a lot of material questions, but we've talked about that one. How about Dave Ashley? Let's go to some more recruiting questions. He says, Jerry, why is there not the same energy to recruit the top offensive linemen in the country by Sark staff, whether high school or portal? He asked this when you were talking about the defensive players.
Well, I think there is. Look, the reality is Texas tried to recruit a Jackson Cantwell in the 26 class. But, I mean, he went to Miami for a lot.
Was it $2.5 million?
A lot of NIL. And that's just not – that Texas isn't going to do that. Texas tried to recruit a kid they really liked was Cody Green at Mater Dei. He ended up going back home, even though he goes to Mater Dei from the Seattle area. He ended up just going to Washington, staying home. Texas, they had Kenye Pepe from IMG, who's originally from Los Angeles, scheduled for an OV. He commits to USC. So Texas does try to recruit those top guys in the country. They love the kid in Maryland. That one just wasn't going to happen. So Texas definitely recruits nationally on the offensive line as well as in Texas. I do think it'll be interesting to see in 27 how many out-of-state guys they go after because in-state is so good in 2027, so good.
I would just say this, too. The one position that the state of Texas produces at a high rate, at a fairly elite level, is offensive line.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the one position that they produce in numbers. And so that takes a little bit of onus off of the Longhorn staff to have to go outside the state boundaries or state borders, if that makes sense. Now, the second part of your question there is portal.
Yeah.
And Steve Sarkisian and Kyle Flood have announced their preference to kind of grow within, especially on the offensive line. I don't know if that's going to hold after this year. Let's see what happens after this year, because Texas has, in my opinion, they're going to have some decisions to make at offensive line, whether or not this unit going forward is what they want to go to bat with next year. So that's my opinion. We'll see, Dave, if that idea changes with portal and offensive line.
All right. And then,
The only thing Dave followed up with, Texas only of the top 60 offensive linemen in 26 class, Texas only has one commit. I mean, Trevor Gooseby wasn't in a top 60 offensive lineman in the country, and he's going to probably be a first or second round pick. So I think there's a lot of things that go into offensive line recruiting. I don't know. I think Texas has done a pretty good job there, and I think they really like their young offensive linemen.
Somebody said that Trevor Gooseby, speaking of Trevor Gooseby, Blake, you brought something up in our pre-meeting this morning that one of the draft experts just did a mock draft and had Trevor Gooseby, this kind of shocked me, going 10th overall.
yes,
I mean, that is a crazy.
to the Bears, I believe.
I mean, first-year starter, 10th overall. That's higher than Kelvin Banks.
Yeah.
Mike Renner from CBS Sports is who had that 10th overall to the Bears. And then another guy, Ryan Wilson, with CBS Sports, I think had him still first round, but going 31st overall to the Bills. And then he also had CJ Baxter going to the Cowboys and Anthony Hill going to Los Angeles.
Okay, so we can disregard that.
Yeah, that was updated 2 days ago. So it really surprised me to see Baxter in there.
It would be interesting. Maybe we do that. I wish somebody has to have done it. Keep all the mock drafts before the season, because everybody always talks about recruiting rankings. I think the biggest changes I see in anything is mock drafts.
I was going to say this, and this is a big piece. If people in recruiting change their rankings as much as NFL mock draft people change theirs, the whole college football world would go nuts. I mean, look, they just would, because there are guys, of the 32 or so 5 stars in a year, 17 to 20 of them they stay a 5-star the whole year. There's no chance that 17 to 20 of a preseason NFL mock draft stays the same. It's more like 10 at the most.
Yeah, it's amazing if you look back on the mock drafts that come out midsummer, the difference between there and March. It's like drastic in a lot of cases. If anybody ever wants to do that, keep those. Here's an interesting question. I hate to do it, but I need to answer it. Jay Bulls, was Kyler Murray ever recruited by Texas? Well, there's a story there. Do y'all want it? So when Charlie Strong was hired at Texas, I was working nationally, and a guy that knew him from the Florida days called me and said, "Hey, man, is there any one player that Charlie Strong needs to recruit?" And I said, "Oh, yeah." I said, "There's a quarterback at Allen named Kyler Murray, whose dad played at A&M, and his uncle played baseball at Texas, Calvin Murray. And everybody thinks the kid's a lot for A&M, but I'm here to tell you he's not." And I said, they need to get on him. Now, Darryl Wyatt and Major Applewhite had actually done some pretty good work. They'd known Kevin Murray for years, and they've been putting in some good groundwork behind the scenes with Kyler. It wasn't until 99 or 100 days. I can't remember which one. I've said 100 in the past. I've thought about that. It may have been 99 days. I was in Dallas seeing guys, and I happened to be right there near Kyler. It took 199 or 100 days for the Texas staff to call Kevin Murray after they were hired. 100 days. So they asked, somebody literally said, hey, who's the player they need to recruit? And I was like, hey, here's your guy. And it took him 100 days to call him. Kyler, actually, the crazy thing about that recruitment was he was not a lock for A&M. He wasn't. People just thought he was, but he was not. In fact, there were somebody very close in that family that didn't want him to go there because they did not like Kevin Sumlin. And they did not think that was a good fit for him. And he actually made the unofficial visit to Texas. Now, there are some people said, oh, it was 80-85% of Texas. It was never that. Trust me, I was extremely close to this recruitment. Extremely close. It was never that. It was never a number like that at all. But there were some people that wish he would have gone to Texas. And the people, it would have surprised the people if they knew the name that wish he'd gone to Texas because they thought it would have been a unbelievable opportunity for him to help bring back a program that was struggling and do it quickly. And I think they were right in their thought process. But Texas dropped the ball initially in that recruitment, and they were playing from behind. And because somebody very close to that recruitment wanted him to at least give Texas a real chance, it happened.
We got a super chat from Drew Lockhart. He says, Austin Rivers healthy to go tomorrow against LSU? That's a question, not a statement. And I did look. He is not on any injury report.
Austin Simmons, right?
Yeah. They like the D2, D3 transfer. They like the Chambliss kid. I think the run pass he's given them, I think Ole Miss really likes what he's bringing to the table. He's starting his third straight game, which is interesting. To me, I mean, like Trinidad Chambliss is his name. He has performed really well. I mean, the reality is Austin Simmons has a lot of talent. He had 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions in his game and a half. Trinidad Chambliss has come in and has completed 68% for 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. You can't sack him. He's rushed for 195 yards and 2 touchdowns. Trinidad Chambliss he's become an interesting player in this college football season if he continues on and is that starter. He was a D2, D3 player, transfers into Ole Miss this year, and he's out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and has pretty much become their guy through just playing really well on the field. He played really well. I mean, against Arkansas, he was 21-29, rushed it 15 times for 62 yards. Came back against Tulane the week after, threw for 307, rushed it for 112. You aren't taking that guy off the field. He's playing at too high of a level.
All right. And we'll do one more before we get out of here. And I've been thinking about this. I wanted to bring it up. Mark Valdez, please tell me that Bobby, Jerry, and Blake are going to dress up in their Halloween costumes for the Halloween Coffee and Football live stream this year.
I'm thinking, Chad, I need some help. I need y'all to give me some ideas because I was thinking about my initial thought was a referee's outfit with an Oklahoma hat, but then I decided against it. But I think that could be funny. But give me some ideas for Halloween. We got a month to get this thing done. Last year's going to be hard to beat because I was in Florida seeing recruits, and I grabbed it. It was actually a ladies' FSU shirt, and I put a brown paper bag over my head. That's going to be tough to top. Blake's was good last year. Bobby, what were you last year?
I don't remember. I think I was a referee, wasn't I?
You were a referee.
You were a referee.
Yeah. I don't know. I may have to go as Arch Manning or Chad Powers.
Yeah.
There you go.
Have to do the Eli Manning thing.
Blake, you know what you need to be? You need to be Billy Napier with like beat up, bruised face. Krista can set you up really well with that Florida gear.
Terrence Jones, that's the truth. He never lost a game that he started in the state of Texas until he lost to Sam Ehlinger in the Cotton Bowl.
There you go.
And in that season where
Who's your horns?
he had to take the L.
Who's your horns? That's not bad. I like
Anyways,
that.
hey, I just want to finish up today. Anything else we got, Blake, before we close out?
You tell people about the Florida tailgate real quick.
Yeah, I will. People have been asking. We have a Florida tailgate coming. Please make sure you check out the link that Blake has, or use this QR code that's on the screen as well if you want to. Right now, we have a special going on Saturday morning. It's going to start early. We've got 2 different food drops coming in all you can drink, etc. It will be a good day because the game doesn't start until 3:30 Eastern. Okay, 2:30 Central. So we'll be out there. Please stop by the tailgate if you would. Also, if you happen to have a chance, make sure you come out and see us at ontexasfootball.com. Jerry, you did an Ask Me Anything yesterday that was great. We got CJ's going to do one today as well. You get 1 year free, 1 year access to On Texas Football. If you use promo code OTFOG and you're a first-time subscriber, you get $20 off that annual subscription. Come on out. We'll talk Dre Quinn, Tyler Atkinson. Everybody's on the move right now as far as recruiting. Jerry will be on top of that for us. So make sure you join us, whether it's at a tailgate, over on the site, etc. Hope you guys have some fun, and we can have some fun together.
There you go. All right, well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football presented by BKCW Insurance. I want to thank them along with Prize Picks, Harry's, and Duck Camp, all for sponsoring today's show. Of course, thank you all for tuning in as well. As Bobby said, don't forget to head on over to ontexasfootball.com because we can't be on here all the time. But, Bobby, we are going to be on here a little bit more today. What do you have for us?
Well, you've got the high school show with Jerry, Coach Buchanan, Coach Shipley, Carl Padilla, I think, is on that as well today. Yep. And then we'll have the live stream 3 to 4 today, myself, Jerry, and Rod Babers as well. And I think we're going to do a round table. You guys have been asking us to do more round tables with all of us, having our thoughts up on different stuff. So we're going to do that. We're going to use this off weekend as an opportunity to test and do some new shows, et cetera. See if you guys like them. Hopefully you'll enjoy them. Hopefully you will.
Well, hope you
volleyball.
all have
What's going on with volleyball?
Volleyball plays Missouri tonight at home.
Oh,
nice.
There you go.
There we go.
And
should be
there's
another sellout at Gregory.
A exhibition game between Texas and Texas Tech in baseball. I believe it's going to be in Round Rock, if memory serves me correctly. So it's the
Cody Campbell going to be there?
Check that out.
Cody Campbell going to be there? Is Cody Campbell going to be there?
I'm not sure.
Scouting the Texas roster?
Good question.
Like he did softball with the catcher?
I think Cody Campbell is going to be out at UCLA picking off a defensive lineman or something, whoever they have out there. By the way, Texas basketball had their first practice yesterday. Bo Ogden on his official visit now. I still think Austin Goosby's probably Texas over Duke right now. Bo Ogden will decide soon. Texas, Purdue, Tennessee. Went and visited Uncle Rick, who actually probably is Uncle Rick to him last weekend. There's also Maximo Adams, 5-star on another 5-star on campus out of Sierra Canyon. Buddies with Richard Wesley, but doesn't mean they're going to the same school, to be clear. Same high school as Richard Wesley. So basketball's underway as well. Big recruiting weekend. I think we're going to start to see some basketball recruiting movement coming up here in the next 3 weeks on the recruiting front. And obviously, first game of the year is 39 days away against Duke in Charlotte. How about Sean Miller's first game against Duke? That's a good way to kick it off.
There you go. All right. Well, hope you all have an outstanding weekend this weekend. Of course, we'll be back on Monday morning. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.